And I'm Brad.
And Dave?
And today we're here to discuss minute 39 of The Lost World. Dave, last week we talked a bit about SDCC and some of the new reveals from Chronicle over there. You were nearly on the money when you said you wanted a desktop T-Rex. One correction, we got to do the what we thought was the breakout T-Rex in that display was actually a lot smaller, more cost-effective collectible. Its exact size wasn't made known, but apparently it's a lot smaller T-Rex that you could have on your desk at work.
Yeah, Chronicle did create these the smaller version of the breakout T-Rex for the more economically minded collector, so that they can put it in their, like, on a desktop or something like that at work, and so it doesn't take up a lot of space. So it's great for if you don't have a lot of money and if you don't have a lot of space.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Now it's not the tranquilized Rex in a cage, but it's halfway there.
Yeah.
Yep. One other thing we didn't really report on either, there was a very blurry shot of a couple of prototype Matchbox cars or vehicles from Jurassic World that were on display as well. Claire's Mercedes and Owen's motorcycle, which probably aren't my preferred go-tos to start with, but it's a sign that they are doing some Matchbox vehicles in the line, which I'm excited to see what comes out of that in the future.
No, definitely. I would love to get some of the bigger scale that they do. I'm not sure. I'm not into cars, collecting cars, so I'm not really sure the various scales. But they got the one that's like about the size of the palm of your, and not the size, about the size of your hand. I just love to see like the trailers or the Lost World Mercedes in that scale. You know.
The trailer's my first thing I was thinking about too. Oh, we need more toys of those.
We do. Back in the day, Matchbox actually released when they had the Lost World license, and they were doing all the Lost World toys based on the village and a couple other things. I think they had a raptor skull as well. There was like a little playset, folded out into a little playset. And they had a trailer. It was just the front end, though. So I'd love to see a full, complete trailer.
Yeah.
And it kind of folded out. It was kind of micro machine scaled as well.
Yeah, because you had the Matchbox stuff, then you had the smaller, almost like Mighty Max.
Yeah.
The little sort of all-in-one playset, you know, because there was the operations building as well, which I'm still desperate to get.
Yeah.
And some smaller stuff, but yeah, I've got most of that Matchbox stuff, and it's fine. Nice little sort of trucks and Unimogs with InGen logos on them.
I got some of that stuff too. The Rex Rage Rig was a lot of fun, and then I still have that, and I actually think that the T-Rex in there was actually like my first actual vision of what the male T-Rex in the second Jurassic Park movie was. There's this just a molted dark green.
Yeah.
It's kind of rough, but there's also all these other great colors thrown in as well that you don't really get to see. But I was honestly a little disappointed when I was a kid, and I found the first pictures of the male T-Rex, and I found out it wasn't just plain black, like black and green.
Yep. But it was great we got that sort of detail out of a Matchbox figure too.
Yeah, you did. You got some great details, and they had the little tiny metal figurine guys. They had Dieter and stuff like that. Came with the looked like a pickup truck or something, and it came with a little Velociraptor.
Yeah, yep.
It dog chewed the raptor, so the paint is kind of chipped to hell.
Ah, very good, very good.
Yeah, Matchbox did some really great work back in the day, and I'm looking forward to see what they do more. You know?
Yeah, they done a couple of things for Jurassic World.
And they did.
It sort
they
of
did
got
a couple, like car packs.
Yeah, and it sort of got a little bit too far away from the source material. I know, yes, a lot of the Matchbox stuff for the Lost World was out there, but it sort of still had that feel, the colour schemes and all that. Even stuff like the gas station playset and that, like, yes, it wasn't the one from Sauna, but it was good, it was decayed, it was broken down. it's not going to have a big sign or billboard on it saying The Lost World Site B.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, there was just some weird stuff in that Jurassic World Matchbox line. I think the only thing worth getting was the helicopter, Masrani's helicopter.
Yeah.
Most of us all just sort of monster trucks with a Jurassic World logo on it. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, we could go on about that for all night. Dave, if there's anything else you want to bring up, do you want to get into minute 39?
I think we pretty much covered everything.
All right.
As we enter the 38th minute of The Lost World, Roland and RJ discover a footprint for their quarry and call Burke over to confirm. As we start the 39th minute of The Lost World, Roland asks Burke if he recognises a trackway. Burke said yes he does, Tyrannosaur. At 38 minutes and 8 seconds, we cut to Roland standing beside his Jeep, assembling what looks like a shotgun, but is really a custom Nitro 600. As he's assembling his rifle, a hardtop Jeep pulls to a stop, and Peter Ludlow climbs out, calling Roland. With his eyes fixed on the prize, Roland ignores Ludlow and begins walking off into the jungle. At 38 minutes and 20 seconds, Ludlow asks Roland, "Where do you think you're going?" Roland replies, "To collect my fee, Mr. Ludlow, to collect my fee." At 38 minutes and 26 seconds, as Roland walks off to meet RJ, Ludlow's foot splashes down into a puddle. Ludlow looks down to reveal the Tyrannosaur footprint. At 38 minutes and 30 seconds, we cut to Dieter Stark, opening a canteen of water and pouring it over his head. He hears a squawk of an animal and looks down to see a compy standing by his boot. He puts the canteen away and pulls out an electric shock prod and charges it. At 38 minutes and 54 seconds, after hearing a description from Burke about how the compies were believed to be scavengers, Dieter says it gives him the creeps. It's like it's not even scared. Burke begins to say that there haven't been any visitors to this island, and there's no reason for it to fear man. And this ends the 39th minute of Lost World.
Before we get into this bit, I noticed a couple of things from a previous minute that I didn't bring up. You can actually see one of the hunters with a net launcher. I questioned where that net come from in the previous minute when they're trying to bring down the power, but he's definitely got a net launcher, and that's all he does. He just stands there and watches the other guys with the ropes trying to bring it down. Whether or not it's identical to the one from the Jurassic World, it sort of looks like the same premise. I don't think the technology's improved that much over the years. It's just insert net, pull trigger.
That's also a nice callback to the first novel, where some of the equipment they had listed for Jurassic Park was electric net blowers, which were just net launchers that you squeeze the trigger and it sends an electric pulse and it shoots out the net.
Yep.
And I can't remember if they ever used it in the first novel. I don't think they did, but I do remember that it being there. They also had cattle prods that those made it into the first movie.
Yeah.
All the workers are famously have those cattle prods.
Yeah, from the raptor scene at the start. And also, I've been reading a bit of the shooting script too the last few weeks, and there's a bit more here where you actually get Carter with a stencil and a spray gun or a paint gun, painting something onto the leg of the animal. Once it's down.
Number 29.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that was the T-Rex actually. Wasn't that the Thrasher number 29?
I believe it is. Yes. If it's not, oh, imagine it coming back on the boat and not having it and go, nah, this isn't one of ours. It's a knockoff. Because kids, if you can't see the official Jurassic logo, then it's not Jurassic Park.
Yeah. If it's not Jurassic Park, it's extinct.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotta look for the mark of Jurassic Park.
I was trying to think what it was. But also, it's described in the scene too that there is some sort of taser, or the net is electrified and actually electrocuting the animal as well while it's on the ground, which sort of makes that scene a little bit darker.
Yeah.
More so than just the hog tying it, pulling it to the ground.
Yeah, really.
But I'll post it up on the Facebook group this week after last minute. You can clearly see in the script that the scene with Dieter and Burke that we're about to talk about did come before the Ludlow scene and Roland, so it's just interesting that they swapped those two out.
Yeah.
Maybe a pacing thing, but...
It's also an interesting reminder that these movies are not shot in order. They are not shot in chronological order.
Yes, I learned that late, that it wasn't shot in order. I wasn't that happy about it. I thought, really? That sounds like a whole lot more work. Surely you can just start and work your way through.
It's actually probably easier because you're shooting the order of whichever scene you got to do first. Like if Hawaii is having a bad storm coming towards it, and you shoot those Hawaii scenes first, and then you do the redwoods or the backlats or whatever,
Yeah, that's sort of. I suppose it all comes down to the continuity editor or whoever's in charge of that to make sure stuff stays the same. Like, well, I know for sure Jurassic Park, the Gallimimus scene, them running through the Gallimimus is one of the first things shot. Yet it's towards the very end of the film, so movie magic at its best. So we get Roland still looking at the trackway from the last minute. Burke, get over here. You recognise this trackway? Yes, sir, I do. Tyrannosaur. And then we cut to Roland at his Jeep assembling his shotgun.
And this is one of those movie's great moments of sound design. I just always loved as a kid the sound of the clicking as all the parts go into place, and he's just checking everything out, and then he clicks it open and then clicks it shut, and it's that kind of it's just that kind of sound design that I just love about this movie,
Yeah, yep. Also noticed he didn't load it.
Yeah, right.
But also putting it together now, it shows that it's a weapon he didn't bring here to use as defense. It's here solely to catch his prize.
Well, a lot of people actually mistake the gun for a shotgun. It's actually an elephant rifle. It's just a rifle that uses really big slugs, and it's used to shoot down elephants, pretty much. Because, I think in the script, Ludlow asks Roland if he's going to use the gun, his elephant gun, to take how many bullets the elephant gun would take down the T-Rex. He said that if he gets good shots to the brain, it would take like 2 or 3.
Which is interesting. If he thinks it's going to take 2 or 3 shots, he only takes a weapon that can fire twice. I think by that time, he'll be really pissed off.
The jacket he's wearing has 3 slots for rifle slugs.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's the right shoulder.
Yeah, it's Pete Fossilfate isn't a overly large man.
No, he's not.
I could just imagine the kick that thing would have.
Oh God.
Because it's a Nitro 500 or something, isn't it?
600, I think.
600. Oh God.
I know.
Yeah.
Videos of people trying to shoot that T-Rex gun, and they're just getting blown against the wall with this thing.
Yeah.
Just imagine that happening with Pete Possible if he ever actually fired the thing. Because you look, it doesn't help that Jeff Goldblum and Vince Vaughn are both over 6 feet tall. And then you have Pete Postlewaite, who was 5'6" or something like that. And so he's just below average height, and everybody around him is above average height.
Well, I suppose that's why you get a lot of him standing near Ludlow, because Ludlow's smaller than him again. So
yeah,
maybe that's the purpose of RJ, which we'll get to in a minute. He's the backstop. He leans against the back of Ludlow so he can fire. Roland so he can fire.
Well, that would be his purpose, really. He would supply the extra ammunition. He would supply any defensive ammunition that they need, because when you're out in the bush, there's a lot more than just what you're hunting out there that you got to worry about. You also got to worry about, in Africa, if you're hunting, say, an elephant, you also have to worry about lions, hyenas. Rhinos can be pretty nasty. Then he's on Isla Sorna, so of course they got even bigger and more dangerous animals. We know the Spinosaurus is out there somewhere. We know that there's the raptors. There's there's all kinds of different predators and large herbivores on this island that can and will hurt you.
And that's sort of one thing, even now where we are in the movie, they're really counting on the predator stay to the interior.
Yeah.
Like there's no real defensive weapons. We see him in the next minute with RJ. He's got himself a rifle, but it's not really, when you're in close jungle or something like, a rifle's not really going to do much good.
Mm.
And even a little bit later, where we get to the hunter's camp, in all the scripts and everything, there's a sort of a laser-like fence system that goes up around it to keep them safe. Where in the film it's completely gone, which is probably for the best because we're introducing lasers to this movie now. But it's sort of the whole safety aspect. Even our friendly team are just sort of walking back and forth or driving back and forth willy-nilly. There's no real sense of danger. I think Ian trying to get that through to Sarah earlier on in the trailers was probably a good point of that as well.
There's also the fact that RJ is there to be Roland's tracker as well. So he has that big backpack on. I'm sure he might actually even have a pistol or something in that backpack.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people will take a pistol with them for extra defense, especially if they're going into dangerous bush.
Yep.
And so he's also in the script. RJ is Roland's tracker as much as he is his like ammo guy. You know.
Yep. No, that's all right. We get a bit more of him in the next minute, so we can bring up some more stuff on RJ then.
Yeah.
As Roland's getting his rifle together, the Ludlow pulls up in a hardtop Jeep, which has got no damage to the driver's side door, which confirms this is a second hardtop Jeep, so we know now of two. Roland starts walking off, ignoring the vehicle approaching. Ludlow jumps out, "Hey, Roland, where you going?" And we get the line, "To collect my fee, Mr. Ludlow, to collect my fee."
I love that line. He's the whole time Roland is just snubbing Ludlow like he's just some idiot underling, you know. Whereas Ludlow's the one that's used to be treating people like they're the idiot underlings, you know. So it's kind of giving Ludlow a little taste of his medicine.
Yeah, and that's one thing in the scripts as well that we don't get later on in the camp when Ian and the guys are looking down over the camp. They think that Ludlow's in charge, and then Nick says no, this guy's in charge, and points to Roland because he's the one walking around with Dieter, and he's in charge of the show, not Ludlow. Ludlow's paying the checks, but.
Well, in the script, we also learned that Nick and Roland have a bit of a history.
Yeah.
You kind of get a little bit of that in the scene after the trailers when Roland says, "I recognize you. You're that Earth First bastard."
Yeah, that's
from Nick in the script, we learned that he sabotaged one of Roland's hunts because he was hunting jaguars or something like that in
Botswana. Botswana or something.
Or was it? No, was it? Oh, I remember he ruined one of Roland's hunts hunting a jaguar with a spear.
Yeah, in South America.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll also notice here that Dieter's missing from the scene. He's got up and left, but the Jeep's still parked there. So it's possibly the one that Burke and his offside were in earlier. They've both disappeared from the scene, don't know where they've gone. And I love this little transition here. Ludlow sort of walks after Roland to see where he's going and stumbles and looks down to see he's stood in the T-Rex footprint.
I know, and then he lifts up his foot and you get to see the juxtaposition of his tiny human foot against a T-Rex's foot.
Yeah. And I just sort of love this sort of practical stuff where you've got this big T-Rex indent in the ground.
Yeah. I kind of wonder how they did that. If they just took the Stan Winston leg that Stan Winston Studios made and just kind of pressed it down into the mud, or if they had like a cardboard cutout or something that they had textured up.
Yeah, they'd have to have something. Maybe
Yeah.
dig it out, then use the imprint to sort of shape the footprint or something.
Something like that. Because you can also spot the same footprints over by the trailer during the trailer attack.
Mm.
You can talk more about that when we get to that minute.
Yep. But it's one of my favourite parts about the 97 Godzilla as well, where you've got Matthew Broderick. I'm a scientist. I take samples and I study them, and the general says, "Here's your sample. You're standing in it," and you cut out, and they're actually standing in the footprint. But
yeah, those were practical footprints too.
yes, and they were on the ranch for so long.
Yeah, they're still there on Hawaii or Oahu. Same valley where they filmed the Galamima scene, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what I was listening to the other day. I think it was a Jurassic Park podcast. They were saying because the ranch is a live at working ranch, they had to sort of shallow the holes or the footprints out a bit because cattle were getting stuck in there. They were falling into the footprints and not being able to get out, so they had to sort of shallow one of the walls down a bit so cattle could climb back out of it.
Well, I do remember in that 98 Godzilla movie that they had little small wooden step ladders in order for the guys to climb in and out of the footprints.
Yeah, yep.
Because they're so deep.
And then we cut to Dieter sitting there, he's pouring water over his head, feeling the heat. And we get a nice little shot here of Compy coming back up and sort of snarling at his boot, which is a good little size. You see the end of his boot.
Yeah.
Again, all practical stuff here, which is, I think the whole scene's practical, even when it scampers off.
That entire thing is just a little rod puppet with a little breathing mechanism inside. Spielberg was the one that suggested to Stan Winston that they add like a little breathing mechanism inside it so you can see the animal's ribcage fluttering as he breathes in and out.
Yeah, and I think it definitely adds to it. Like if that thing wasn't, we get one scene looking up from below it. If you couldn't see it breathing, then it'd sort of take you out a lot more. But
yeah, it would venture into the uncanny valley a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Like those old 1980s animatronics that were just kind of, I don't know, creepy. They were lifelike, but then there was nothing about them that was alive. So you just had these puppets and animatronics that moved, but they didn't really move. They didn't really live, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas Stan Winston really introduced the idea of animatronic characters, you know.
Yeah, you might say they had no soul.
Yeah, really. Stan Winston gave dinosaurs soul.
Yeah. Yep. But he's got an extendable shock prod, which is sort of mentioned a little bit earlier. I've sort of worked with some of those electric tasers or prodders with cattle, but I've never seen a extendable or telescopic one before.
No, I've not either. I would assume that this was actually probably a prop that they made for the movie, you know, that just discharged probably I don't even want to say 100 volts, you know, just something that can spark or something, you know.
Well, it must be pure defensive because I'm pretty sure he's got this clipped to his belt.
Yeah, he does.
Along with a lot of the other hunters do as well. So, like you're saying before, how RJ might have a pistol in his backpack. This would probably be one of the one defensive weapons they've got when the tranquilizer guns or rifles fail. As we see later on when we get to his demise, it's the last thing he goes for. It's the one thing he can't use.
Yeah, which is unfortunately not ever really used as a defensive weapon. I think in the script, Dieter takes the shock prod to the Parasaurolophus while it's down as well.
Yeah, yep.
And so he's kind of just kicking it when it's down, you know?
Yep.
And then here we see him just for laughs and giggles, he sadistically shocks the compy just so it fears him.
Yeah, and it doesn't really... It would, if that was the case and we've seen him actually electrocute the Parawaltz down, that'd sort of, okay, this guy's got to get it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, but what's on screen, what he does, yes, he shocks the compy in the next minute, but it's there's nothing really. It's almost like Zara in Jurassic World. It's sort of he's not really doing much here. He's leading the team when Roland's not there, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is one of those things where, again, The Lost World is one of those movies that you got to choose between pacing or characterization. And like Ajay, Dieter kind of gets cut as a character a bit, and he gets chopped down into kind of the side character that we don't really get to flesh out.
Yeah.
So his sadism isn't really brought through as much in the final film.
Yeah. Yep. But we get Burke back here again. We discussed in an early minute the whole stuff here about Compsognathus triassicus.
Mm-hmm.
Is all the wrong information. Still gutted that they've actually gone that way and not made him an expert at all.
Yeah, the character is, you can really see come out here when he's when you see a good close up of him, you can see that he's a complete backer caricature. Got the jean vest with the flannels and all over, and the wrapped up white hat. And, I mean, he looks like he's supposed to be cosplaying as Robert Backer.
Yep. And the actor, of course, Thomas F. Duffy. He's been in a fair bit. Super 8, Independence Day, which I wasn't aware of. Also going all the way back to MacGyver in '87. So he's done a lot of TV by the looks of it.
He's halfway seasoned.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, a lot of stuff he's done now. I think mainly because he's got the beard, he's got the wig on, and the hat sort of disguises his look a little bit.
Yeah.
But also here too, we got Peter Stormare back, which we've talked before about his acting credits. So great character actor. It's always good to see him on screen and see what he's going to do with a character.
Yeah. He's good at playing like those kind of half sadistic, half kind of nuts characters. Like, for example, we mentioned Armageddon earlier, where he just plays the crazy Russian.
Yeah, and that's it. He does do a lot of those sort of Russian type characters, or caricatures of that, but.
In Lost World, I think he's Swedish.
Yeah.
And when he gets attacked by the compies, he starts swearing in Swedish.
Oh, yes, he does, yeah. We'll get to there when we get there, but I do remember that. I'll have to see what the script says when we get there. And see if that adds any more to the character.
I think it actually was improvised by Peter Stormare, that part.
Okay.
And Spielberg liked it and left it in.
Yep. But we get him here. He's asking if that the compy gives him the creeps, like it's not even scared.
Yeah.
And is it dangerous? Well, if we'd read the books, we know yes, it is dangerous. But
yeah.
But we get Burke's response to that in minute 40 coming up. So, Dave, if there's anything else you want to bring up for minute 39.
I think we're good.
Alright,
guys. Let's get the hell out of here.
Contact details are on the website, thelostworldminute.com. You can email feedback to thelostworldminute@gmail.com, Facebook, The Lost World Minute, Twitter @thelostworldminute, and Instagram, The Lost World Minute.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, very easy to remember. David, thank you for joining me for this record.
Welcome.
And we'll be back. I've been Brad.
I'm Dave.
And we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature,